Hi guys, in today's video I will share my thoughts and experience on the basics of bow and arrow making. As a bower with over 6 intense years of experience, I've been through a lot, but I still remember how it is to be completely new to this craft. I've made many mistakes that could be easily avoided if I had known what I do now. Therefore, this video is dedicated especially for those who are just getting into the bow making world and don't know how to start. But before we get into it, let me invite you to my website and store. You can find there my bows, ebooks, but also a blog with even more bow making content. Now let's get into the video. We'll start with bows. What you do need to start your bow making journey is the material and tools to turn it into the working piece of archery gear. You probably think you should gather a lot of equipment first, but that's not true. You don't need much to make a bow. A good knife alone is enough to build an efficient weapon. Other basic but very useful tools are saw, hatchet, and draw knife. With these and a piece of sandpaper, one can make a wonderful bow. A vise as a material holding device is a great choice, but you can use other solutions too. Being creative and searching for unconventional solutions is a crucial skill for a bowyer. Okay, but what about the material? Of course, we are discussing here traditional bows made from natural materials, therefore wood is what we need. For first builds, the best option is to go for pieces that don't require much work and are rather cheap and accessible. Saplings or branches. I would say the thickness between 2 and 4 inches is optimal here. Working with these, you don't need to chase growth rings. You just leave the wood right below the bark, as the back of the weapon. In such case, the bowyer works only on the belly and sides of the bow. The back remains intact. The kind of the wood is important as it determines the potential of the material in terms of bow making. But as you are just getting into it, don't worry about it that much. For first builds, use whatever you can get. Obviously, if you have a choice, it's always better to go for more suitable woods. Let me mention just a few good bow woods here. Osage orange, yew, hickory, elm, hazel, maple, oaks, ash, and most of the fruit woods. Nevertheless, there are many more species that are not that popular. For bow making we use the dried material. Optimal moisture content is considered to be 9%. To prepare your staves for future builds, the one should remove the bark and seal the stave with a proper sealant, glue, varnish or suitable paint. Then wood should be stored in a dry place, so scoring more staves and treating them that way is a good idea. But meanwhile, you can work on green wood. You won't make as good and durable bow from it, but still you can practice and gain experience and end up with a working bow. Especially if you haven't worked with wood before, you will get along with tools and learn how to use them. Here it has to be emphasized that working on bows, on the first place the craftsman should remember about his safety. Before starting the work, learn about proper use of tools. Working with stave, wear protective gloves and goggles. Sanding the wood also requires anti-dust mask. Selecting the proper piece of wood, we should look for straight pieces with as few defects as possible. The fewer knots, curves and bumps there are, the better it is, and the easier the making process will be. For a standard 28 inches draw, the stave should be over 65 inches long. The longer stave you will use for the bow, the bigger chance for success there is. But on the other hand, too long bow won't be that efficient. The crucial parts of the bow making process that I have neglected as a beginner are designing and tailoring. Both these stages decide about the future of the build. Designing a bow, the one should take into account all the character and weaknesses of the particular piece of wood, knots, bumps, and the grain. These imperfections will also impact the bend of the finished product, as it won't be perfectly looking. Nevertheless, it's not always about getting the well-looking bend, but the even one. The stick should be working evenly on the whole working part of the limb. It takes a lot of patience and experience to tailor a bow properly, but it's worth all the efforts. Proper designing and tailoring will make a bow that can serve for many years. Therefore, especially on this aspect, the one should be focused. As a beginner, don't aim for any more advanced designs. Simply flat-bellied bow with a short, stiff handle section is a good choice. When it comes to making arrows, you have 4 options to go for. Get selected shafts, use wood dowels, make shafts from stave, or to build them from young shoots. Basing on my experience, the most durable shafts are coming from shoots. I used these, coming from rose and hazel. They worked excellent for me. To prepare these for arrow making, the one needs to remove the bark, bundle a bunch of these together, and leave for drying. The shoots for arrows should be as straight as possible, as it will make the further works easier. Moreover, they are best with even thickness at the whole length. After drying, the shafts should be straightened, as there are no perfect sticks out there. You can use any source of heat for that. I prefer heat gun. Arrows have to be straight to fly well. If you plan to use wood dowels and select these for shafts by yourself, pay attention to the grain. It should be even and continuous on the whole length of the future arrow. Any runoff is extremely dangerous and will lead to the breaking of the arrow. Therefore, sometimes it's better to go for selected shafts that are ready to use. I build my arrows with no professional gear. To apply fletchings, I used paper clip. It's good to use two colored feathers to mark how the arrow should be nocked. Also, I carve self-nocks on all my arrows. Such nocks should be carved perpendicularly to the grain. A saw and a piece of sandpaper can make it done. Building such arrows is important to apply serving, both on the feather tips and near the self-nocks to prevent any splitting. So that's all for today, guys. For more, check out my ebooks and other videos. Thank you for watching and see you.